I know, send him over to an NFC team where you only have to play him maybe once a year if you happen to play that division, and then in the Super Bowl if you happen to both get there. Well, what if you do? What if you do? What if you do both get there? Alright, or what if you happen to play that certain, NFC division that season, and you have to play, Chad Johnson once? Elliott says that's a lot of what ifs. Hey, you got to throw them in there. It's a possibility, is it not? I mean, it's not like I'm saying, well, what if aliens came down and scooped up Chad Johnson with the laser beam? And no. I mean, these are what ifs that could actually happen. Well, I mean, they're real ones. What if the Bengals are one game away from the playoffs and they lose that one game that they play against, Dallas and Chad Johnson, and he goes for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns? Right? Bengals lose by 3, don't make the playoffs. Why risk that? Keep him. Hey, you're best receiver in the game, possibly. If you're not going to play for us, you're not playing for anyone. I can't blame the Bengals for that. And the only way this could present a problem is if Johnson decides to, forget his holdout and actually return to Cincinnati and play for the Bengals, but doesn't buy into it. Continues to be a distraction. It does suit up and plays, but, behind the scenes in the locker room, he's saying things to the media, and he's just causing a distraction anyway. So that's the only negative that could come out of this for Cincinnati, is if he does decide to come back and totally disrupts the organization from the inside. TJ Hushmanzada weighed in on this the other day, and I had this. Oh, hold on. I had this in front of me to talk about yesterday, and I didn't. And I ran out of time. I only have about 10 minutes left now, so I'm gonna do this part of it now. Hushmanzada said last Thursday that the poor relationship between the Bengals and Chad Johnson could pose serious problems for the team. He says, quote, if he's not traded, it's going to be a problem. He does say that Chad Johnson told him he wasn't playing, but he goes on to say, I think he'll eventually show up, but then you have to worry about how much of a distraction he'll be. Hushmanzada also said that Chad Johnson has spent the majority of the offseason avoiding Carson Palmer's phone calls. But that Palmer and Johnson have indeed talked a few times recently. Hushmanzada says he has personally talked to Johnson more than ever this offseason. And these are guys that played on the same college team together, too. And they're talking more than ever right now. It's odd. Hushmanzada says that Johnson started talking about wanting traded out of Cincinnati during last season. All right, TJ says the Bengals are in a no-win situation. He says, quote, if we keep him and don't win, he'll tell everyone I told you so. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. The Bengals are in a tough spot here. Yeah, they really are in a very, very tough spot. But what do? You trade him away? Just try to rebuild and move on without him, but possibly run into him at some point? And have him torch you because he has all this animosity towards Cincinnati? Or do you keep him with the franchise till 2011? You let him just sit out if he wants? Let him come back if he wants? I mean, what if he does decide to come back? Are they going to stop him? But just like Hushmanzada says, if he's there and Cincinnati's losing, it's going to be even worse. Because he will. He said, just like I told you, we're in a bad way. We need to make some changes. We can't compete. Not that he's wrong. Cincinnati's brutal. But still, I mean, that's a distraction that nobody needs. It just is. And To me, I would almost think that you just got to trade him away, and just risk possibly playing him later, but trade him away. Just get him out of the organization. What if he does? What if he decides he wants to come back and play, and he's out there playing for your team, and then all the while going to the media? I mean, because he can come back and play if he wants. It's not like he's suspended by the Bengals. Obviously, Marvin Lewis doesn't think too much of him. Obviously, Houshmandzadeh would like him to be traded. But he can come right back, not suspended.